Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit 91.9 FM, and joining me right now, let me tell you, he is the pioneer when it comes to internet radio. And he's going to be a speaker at the Bangalore Lit Fest 2023. I'm talking about Carl Malamud. Carl, welcome to IndigoMusic.com.
Hey Rohit, thanks for having me.
Now, just to think about it, what we are doing today, this particular conversation that we are having, 30 years back in 1993, you pioneered it, internet radio. Tell me about how did you come up with this idea and where did it all begin?
Well, the internet was starting to grow in those days, and we were beginning to use streaming video and audio for meetings and stuff like that. And I came up with the crazy idea of doing what you now call a podcast. And so the first podcast was called Geek of the Week. I interviewed people like Tim Berners-Lee, who had this crazy thing called the World Wide Web, and other people like that.
Fantastic. And how was the response back in 93 when you started? Were people tuning in? Like, how they go crazy now for podcasts? Were people, back in the day, did they know that such thing existed?
Well, some people did. It was hard because you had to put a sound card in your computer because they didn't have them. It took 30 minutes to download 30-minute podcast. We even did live streaming, and the live streaming was really, really bad audio, but you could hear it. So we had hundreds of people listening in like the day we released stuff. What I found that was interesting was the long tail. So not only did we get a few hundred people that week, every week after that, people kept on downloading the programs. And so, 30 years later, those programs are still spinning and people are still listening to them. So it's the long tail.
Wow. And, I want to ask you, what do you think about the podcasts that are coming in today, creators making podcasts compared to when you started? Have you seen a shift? Have you seen, of course, the quality has become better because of, the mics and the sound cards and things. But what do you think about the content that's going on right now?
Well, so the quality, we actually had a professional radio studio. We were in a National Press building in Washington. We were part of the public radio satellite system. We had real mics, real mixing boards. The content is really diverse. So when I was doing it, the internet was a bunch of geeks. And in fact, one of our mottos on Internet Talk Radio is finally, the medium isn't the message, because we started doing things like the Dalai Lama speaking at the National Press Club. But in those days, all people cared about was the details of the latest protocol.
And do you believe in the phrase video killed radio?
Yeah, I don't know. It changed it. It changed it. I mean, it didn't kill radio because look, you're on and you're broadcasting globally now.
Yeah.
And people listen in their cars and they listen on their computers. So no, it didn't kill radio.
And now let's get to Bangalore Lit Fest. You're going to be there, and what are you expecting, and what can people expect who attend Bangalore Lit Fest?
Well, we're doing two things. So the big thing we've got is, we do a lot of scanning these days. We scan, 14 lakh pages every month. We digitize the entire National Law School of India University. We're at Gandhi Bhavan now, and we're doing their whole library. So we're going to have 4 industrial strength scanners, right in the bookstore area, and we're going to be scanning books live. And so people can come in and they can see how the scanning is done. There's QR codes, so you can go on the Internet Archive and, visit our Hind Swaraj collection, for example, all the works of Ambedkar and Nehru and Gandhi, of course. And so you can do that. And then I'm going to be giving a talk, which is always fun because it's an incredible crowd there.
Also, Carl, I've seen a lot of your videos on YouTube. You seem to be fascinated with India and Mahatma Gandhi and the likes. When did you get that exposure to India?
Well, I've been coming to India since the late 1980s. The Dalai Lama wrote the foreword to a book I did in 1996, so I traveled to Dharamsala to present him a copy. My day job, if you will, is making the law available, and in doing so, I've been kind of fighting the U.S. government because sometimes they don't make it available or available continually. And if you do that kind of work, India is the other natural place to do it, right? World's largest democracy. And so I began by working on Indian standards, on posting them online. And in fact, just in the last year or two, Bureau of Indian Standards now makes them all available for free download. Before they were charging, and there was copyright, and you couldn't do anything with them. So India is the right place. The other reason I'm interested in India is my work confronting government. It's not as dangerous as what Gandhi did or Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela, but it is civil resistance. It is questioning authority, and there is a discipline on how you question authority. And Gandhi is one of the places you look. The liberation of India is the other place you look for lessons on how you do these things. And so I did a deep dive into the liberation of India, into the works of Gandhi and Ambedkar and Nehru and Radhakrishnan and people like that, just to learn how it was they were able to confront the Raj and say, no, we're not going to do things that way. We're gonna make salt. And there was a discipline to that. He didn't just walk to the sea to make salt. He wrote a letter to the viceroy first and said, dear friend, I'm about to make salt. And so there's lessons to learn from that. And besides, I love India. It's a beautiful place. And so I've been making a half a dozen trips a year here, and I hope to keep doing so.
And how often do you travel to Bangalore?
This is my fourth trip this year.
All right.
I didn't during COVID. During COVID, I stopped traveling. But in 2019, I did 150 nights in Indian hotel rooms. I did 6 trips a year.
Wow. Any favorite cuisine in Bangalore that you absolutely love to have?
Oh, well, Bangalore is the kind of place where there is so much cuisine. So, obviously my first breakfast is always masala dosa. There is so much good Kerala food here. There's Tamil food. I love visiting Mangalore. The seafood there is amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing like a Hyderabadi biryani. Kind of blow your head off if you're not used to it, but it's good.
Well, looking forward to your talk and interacting with you at Bangalore Lit Fest, Carl. Thank you so much for taking some time out, having this wonderful chat with me. And yes, it was a pleasure having you here.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.